When working on unsolved cold cases, investigators rely on new leads in order to make a breakthrough, and in many cases, it takes years before new clues come to light. Very often, these updates aren't enough to solve the mystery once and for all, but they provide hope that more answers will be found in the future. Number 5. A breakthrough has been made in the case of the disappearance of Norbert Nelson III, leading to his case being solved a decade after he disappeared, on the 5th of January 2012. On that day, Norval left his home in Mineral Point, Washington County, to travel to a trailer that his wife had lived in the past. He was supposed to pick up some of her belongings that she had left behind, but he was never seen again. Concerns grew for Norval's safety when he didn't return home, as he was legally blind, though this didn't exclude him from driving. His mother told investigators that she was certain he had met with foul play, as he was in the habit of calling her once every week and had failed to do so since vanishing. She added that she had also received several phone calls from someone claiming that they had information proving that Norval was a victim of foul play. This was never proven, however, and the lead proved useless. Theories on what happened to him ranged from him having an accident and passing away, to speculation that he had gotten lost and couldn't find his way home, as he also suffered from memory loss at certain times. At the time, investigators listed his disappearance as suspicious, but without any further clues, they were left without answers. Then, on the 10th of March 2022, the Washington County Sheriff's Office announced that Norval's remains had been found on a private property in northern Washington County, bringing his case to a close and finally giving much-needed closure to his loved ones, who spent years wondering what had happened to him. Number 4. In 1970, 22-year-old Donald Rindahl told his family that he was heading to California, and they never heard from him again, sparking a true crime story that wouldn't see any new clues until 2003. At that time, a landowner near Highway 47 and County Road 5 in rural Bradford Township was doing excavation work on his property when he stumbled upon Donald's remains. But the case was far from over, as it was uncertain who they belonged to. The medical examiner in the case stated that he believed the remains to have belonged to a Caucasian male in his 20s, and that he'd been buried there between 3 and 28 years before they were found. In hopes that the man could be identified, his DNA profile was entered into the missing person database, and a facial reconstruction was created, but they yielded no matches or any further leads. Renewed efforts were made to extract another DNA sample in 2020, and in 2021 to be analyzed by Barbara Ray Venter, who solved the Golden State Killer case, but they were unsuccessful. Then in October of 2021, the Texas lab was able to create a DNA profile, and investigators were hopeful that they could now make some headway in the case. Less than a day later, they had identified a distant relative, enabling Barbara to create a family tree. In November, she was able to provide investigators with the name of 2 of his siblings, and they were finally interviewed. They confirmed that Donald had been missing since 1970, and revealed that the FBI had been searching for him shortly before his disappearance, in connection with an investigation into illegal substances. His siblings provided investigators with their DNA samples, and it was finally confirmed that the remains did indeed belong to Donald, leaving his family in shock and disbelief. They stated that they never knew whether he made it to California, and over the decades, there had been a lot of speculation over what had happened to him. The county's chief deputy, Lisa Lovering, stated that it was uncommon for people to file missing person reports on adults in the 1970s, and so there was no record of Donald's disappearance. From information received from his family and the scene where his remains were found, investigators strongly suspected that his passing was due to a homicide, but due to a lack of evidence, it's still classified as undetermined. Number 3. Samantha Tomlinson, a 37-year-old woman from Fresno, California, mysteriously disappeared on the 3rd of December 2021. And it wasn't until May of 2022 that her case saw a breakthrough, turning it into a solved mystery. Samantha worked as a canine handler and an agriculture standards specialist for the Fresno County Department of Agriculture. She was single and shared a house in Fresno with a roommate. On the day of her mysterious disappearance, Samantha informed her roommate that she would be driving to a Costco store at 7100 North Abbey Street to return an item that she had purchased. She left in her silver 2002 Honda Civic and was never heard from again. On the 4th of December, when she hadn't returned home, her roommate started to worry and she called Samantha's family and later filed a missing person report with the Fresno Police Department, who found CCTV security footage of Samantha on the day that she vanished. The first was from a stop that she made to sell a set of weights to an unknown person that she met on an online marketplace app. In the footage, nothing out of the ordinary was seen, and the transaction seemingly went as planned. The second set of footage was from security cameras at the Costco store near East Herndon and North Blackstone Avenue. Samantha can be seen leaving the store and getting into her car before driving away, leaving investigators with no further answers, and a $5,000 reward was offered for information leading to her whereabouts. At the time, it was noted that her bank accounts, credit cards, and cell phone saw no activity, and that she had a medical condition for which she needed to take medication, but it wasn't known whether she had taken it with her. Then, 5 months after her disappearance, Samantha's car was found near Dinky Creek, east of Shaver Lake. 2 days later, her remains were found a half-mile away from her car in an area of rough terrain. 2 days after that, the remains were positively identified as Samantha's thanks to her dental records. The investigation into her passing is still ongoing, but investigators have stated that they do not suspect foul play is involved. Number 2. In March of 2018, 73-year-old Susie Tomasi from Vero Beach, Florida, was suffering from dementia, and one of the symptoms was that she thought everyone she met was a friend, a mistake that led to her mysterious disappearance. On that day, Susie left the Quilted Giraffe, a restaurant owned by her and her husband of 40 years, Patrick. After she was reported as a missing person, investigators scoured security footage of the area and found that she had gotten into an unfamiliar vehicle. The footage, which was taken at the South Vero Square, located next to the restaurant, shows Susie walking through the square before stopping to talk to someone in a white pickup truck. She approaches the driver's side of the vehicle and has a conversation with the driver, walking to the passenger side and getting into the vehicle. Patrick told the police that he last saw Susie while she was reading a book on the restaurant's back porch. She was in the habit of wandering off to the nearby square, and in this case, she seemed to be looking for someone with a lighter, as she had an unlit cigarette in her hands. Less than 30 minutes after getting into the truck, Patrick searched the plaza but found no trace of his wife. He asked a customer to drive him around the area, and for the next hour he searched for Susie, but to no avail. He went home to see if she had gotten back there, but found that she hadn't. At 6:48 p.m., he contacted the sheriff's office and filed a missing person report. For the next 4 years, police searched for the truck without any result, until February of 2022, when they were able to obtain clear images of the vehicle. They were now hopeful that this new lead would jog the memory of any witnesses and possibly point them in the right direction. If the truck can be located, it would make it possible to track down the person who was driving it in 2018, as they may be responsible for her disappearance, or may be able to provide vital details on what actually happened that day. During their investigation so far, police have followed up on over 100 leads from New Jersey, North Carolina, Georgia, and West Coast Florida, but none have proved useful in finding Susie. A reward of $15,000 has been offered by Susie's family to anyone who has information leading to her whereabouts. Rumors were started that Susie orchestrated her own disappearance, but investigators have stated that there have been no suspicious withdrawals from her bank account, and her credit cards have not been used since she disappeared, ruling out the possibility that she disappeared of her own free will. Number 1. When speaking about the cold case of 33-year-old Brenda Gaddis, her daughter, Yolanda, stated that her family last saw her on Thanksgiving Day of 1990. She added that Brenda had spent that morning at her boyfriend's house, where they prepared a meal and spent the rest of the day with her own family. When they didn't hear from her again after that, they filed a missing person report, but Brenda wasn't found until the 12th of December of that year, when a couple of scrappers were looking for cans in a ditch in an isolated area off of Guthrie Road in Dayton, Ohio. Brenda was found deceased, and police believed that the crime had been committed somewhere else before she was driven to that area and left in the ditch. It was found that she'd been badly beaten, and this was determined to have been the cause of her passing. The hunt for Brenda's killer was underway, but for decades, no new evidence was uncovered, and it became a cold case. Her family told investigators that outwardly, Brenda seemed to live a normal, quiet life. But the reality was that she had started living a high-risk lifestyle involving illegal substances and street workers. This made the case all the more difficult, as she would have been interacting with many people who were strangers to her. That is, until 2022, when an unnamed individual came forward and provided investigators with the location where Brenda's life was taken, and a suspect in the case. Added to this, DNA was found under Brenda's fingernails, giving investigators hope that it will come back as a match to their suspect, who they believe could still be living in the area. They added, however, that it may take many months before they receive any results back from the lab. But if a match is found, it could lead to the resolution of many other similar cases from the 90s, where women were found deceased along the side of the road in Dayton. Police Major Brian Johns has stated that they are actively looking into all of those cases, and are confident that Susie's murder will be connected to some of the others. Anyone who has information on Brenda's case has been asked to contact the Dayton Police Hotline at 937-333-7109, or the Miami Valley Crime Stoppers at 937-222-7867. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.